In today's world, data is the new gold. Data scientists unlock insights from raw information. They use statistical methods to analyze trends. Data analysts convert data into visual stories. By creating dashboards, they help organizations make informed decisions. Machine learning models can predict future outcomes. They identify patterns that aren't visible to the naked eye. Data cleaning ensures accuracy in analysis. Collaboration across departments enhances data insights. They utilize programming languages like Python and R for analysis. Cloud computing resources expand their capabilities. With big data, they tackle complex challenges across industries. Ethics in data science ensures responsible use of information. The future of data science looks bright with endless possibilities.
Hello, good day. My name remains Jude Chokodi, your anchorman and your coordinator for the data science class. In our last class, we tried to introduce Python and machine learning and Python as a pathway to learn machine learning. So today we'll continue building momentum. So I will be teaching from this my note, which I will send across because it is unexhaustible. Can't exhaust all that is there, and it's not even all that is there we are going to use for our class. So as you continue to improve, you'll be visiting and be also getting insight to the work. So it's an adopted work, and we'll have a table of content that tells us some few things we need to learn about Python. Let's just take our time to see it. We want to know what Python is. We want to know what is a variable, what is a Boolean string. Some of them are not new to us, while some are just coming for the first time. We'd like to know the basic Python syntax, arithmetic operators, the double equity sign, the meaning, how to reassign value, how to add a comment in your Python work or in your notebook, how to continue indexing, among others, logical operators, identity operators. We need to know all this. We know the meaning of conditional statement like if statement and how to add it to your work. We define a function in Python, we create a function with a parameter, how to print and how to give return, what they mean in our Python work. If you have a little glimpse in my last work I sent, you see that there were some things that were called, those are Python, or those are the decoded words, which has a lot of meaning. They may be one line, but they may be very, very effective. You see, we'll have list, what sequences, we know what list is, how to slice your work, what is a tuple, dictionaries, iteration, create a list. There are many. It is not even all that is in this work. So we'll start by talking about introduction to programming. So say the computer understands 1, that is just 1 and 0 only. So when you want to communicate a real life problem to a computer, you need to create specific type of text that is called a source code or a human readable code that software can read and then process to the computers in 1 and 0. So no matter the jargon we are saying, no matter the English we are saying, computer will only understand it in 1s and in 0. So all we need to do is to make that happen. So sometimes I will need to know, you talk about program and programming, are they the same or are they different? Now you say that a program is a sequence of instructions that designate how to execute a computation. That's a program. But programming on its own is taking a task one and writing it down in a programming language that the computer understands and executes. Remember, I said earlier that we don't have just one computer language, we have diverse computer language. We have C sharp, C++, we have JavaScript, we have Python, we have R. All these are languages that computer understand, and the way they are used are quite distinct. So somebody that has read computer science may not be averse in all aspects of this, except the person has taken his time to do more. That's why the person that is into data science, so it has a lot of coding. And but for the Python, it has its own pathway which made the work, or who makes it to be understandable or readable in a simplified manner. So let me increase the font size so that we can see closely. So Python is an open source, general source, high-level programming language. What do we mean by Python being an open source? It means that Python is not a program that you have to pay to have access to its source. And evidence is there in the download and installation we have already done using Anaconda. It was Python that was downloaded, Python environment. We didn't pay anything. So that is what we are talking about, open source software. So open source means it is free. You are not paying. Python has a large and active scientific community with access to the software sources, code, contribute to its continuous development and upgrading depending on users' needs. So it is for every user, just like garbage in, garbage out. What you put in is what you get eventually. So when we say open source, we have other types, like if you have been privileged to go to the cloud. Cloud is bigger. Now I have my laptop and I have my software and I have my memory space. This is just like my personal laptop. Now just imagine this big system that can accommodate as much people as possible, just like an envelope of resources stored somewhere in the cloud. Now we're talking about a bigger storage space, and when you go there you see a lot of items that can be stored, that can be retrieved. Now we are looking at a higher source, but all we are trying to let you know here is that for Python you have the ability to use it as it applies to you, meaning that an engineer can come to Python and use it from his engineering perspective and generate his result, and he goes his way. A mathematician, a statistician, an economist, a data scientist, a computer scientist can also do likewise. It serves everybody. It's an open source. I can bring out a development and put it in the system. Somebody can use it and reuse it for his own or modify it. It is acceptable in Python. Now it is also a general purpose. So there is a broad set of fields where Python could apply, such as web programming, people that are into web design, people that are into writing of code, they can use it. Analysis of financial data, you can use it to make analysis, draw insights, and also make recommendation. Analysis of big data, we talk about generating data over years, over time, and those data become very, very vital, because by the time you're able to use your Python application and focus into it, you can extract insights that may not be visible to the ordinary eye and ordinary mind, which can be very, very instrumental and insightful for business decision and many more. Now it is high level. It's a high level language. Why? Because it employs syntax a lot to human logic, which makes the language easier to learn and implement. Remember, I talked about Python having a human readable language. Even though computers has their own computer language, Python, as if you are reading Python into the system, and it's giving you an output that makes sense. That is what we are actually saying here. So we say that Python popularity lies on two main pillars. One is that it is an easy to learn programming language, very easy to learn. Two, language designed to be highly readable with syntax quite clear and intuitive. And the second reason is that it is user friendly, does not take away from its strength. So it's also user friendly, so if you are using it on your own, you can continue to understand. Python can execute varieties of complex computation and is one of the most powerful programming language preferred by specialists. So this has given us a kind of insight into Python. Remember, where we are headed to is we are not domiciling or relaxing or sitting on Python. We are going towards machine learning, but we are going to go through the path of Python. That is why we should understand the tool we want to use in order to work on our machine language. So the next thing is Python variable and data types. You should know what a variable is and you should know what a data type is. These are very important. So say one of the main concepts of programming is variable. They are your best friend. You will deal with them often. You will use them to store information and they will represent your data input. So let's say what we will have. Now this variable we are talking about, we want to use example to define it, but understand that variables are magnitude. They are magnitude that attain any value that can be used to manipulate and get desired results. That is variable. They can assume different magnitude. Now looking at what we have here, this is just like extracting a workload from our Python environment. Now let me open up one of the Python file so that we can repeat whatever is done here, so that as I'm explaining it, we can also practice and be on the same page. So we can also practice and be on the same page. So I'll go ahead and go to and I'll just open the one that is easy to open without any calling of any code. So open. So while we wait for it to open, you also have in mind that sometimes it may take longer time to open and sometimes it takes very few time to open. But once it has opened, you can now launch into the environment. And now of launch into the environment, we go ahead. It's either we upload or we just go to the new, click on our Python folder so that it can open up for us. Now it has opened up for us. We can give it a title by coming here and clicking on it, and you write CDC the tool learning Python, and now rename it So that becomes the name, CDC-D2 Learning Python. So going back to our source where we are, you see, when you put in your input, you want to see what a variable is. You want to see what a variable is. You now put up your x, and this x, we say let x be equal to 5. That's what you have said. Then in your second input, you now say x. Just throw in x into the system. The computer has been told that x is equal to 5, so it throws out an output of 2. So let's try it and see. Go to, we say x, say let it be equal to 5. You bring in a new thing, a new line of code. I remember yesterday I explained all this the last time I talked about it. So I now say x, sorry, I now put in x. But when you want the system to go, as you have put this cursor here, you come to the run and you run it. When you run it, you see it has shown you it has taken in number 1. It has taken in number 1 and it has run into the computer memory. So now it has entered the second one for running. So you now run the second one. When you run it, because say x is equal to 5. So now what is x? Because you want to ask the computer, then you run this. When you run it, it give you an output and telling you that x is 5. So the computer has understood that x is now the same thing as 5. That is what this variable is trying to explain. So we'll go back and say, let's say that you want to have a variable x that is equal to the value of 5, and then ask the computer to tell you the value of the variable. Type x, it will give you this. So that is what we have done. So then when you write x and then execute, you have your result as 5. Other examples can be seen too. You can do that again by using print. It's giving you different modalities you can use and you still arrive at the same answer. You may just say y is equals to 8 and you say y, it will still give you 8. Or you can say y is equals to 8. Then you now say print y under parentheses, it will still give you 8. So you can also use it in print format. So when we come here, we say y, can use any other capital letter, doesn't matter. Y is equal to 8 and you run it. The computer has taken to memory. Then you now say print, and now when I wrote print, observe that the color has changed. This I will explain also. So you want to print what? Y. Y will be in parentheses, telling the system you want it to print y, and when you run it, it will give you the value as 8. So whatever we have done here, you can also do the same thing here. Interchange the examples, the value will still come out as expected. So we're touching on the variables. And now the next thing we like to see is want to look at numbers and Boolean value. If you have been in my class previously, you understand that I have talked about types of data, and I've talked about numeric values and I've talked about non-numeric values. Those values has not changed. It is a science. Data science is a very big, broad-based kind of um, discipline. So the application is consistent over range of field. So when programming, not only in Python, if you say that a variable has a numeric value, you are being ambiguous, because when you say it has numeric value, you must go down to tell us the type of value that it has. The reason is that numbers can be integers. Integers are numbers that are a whole number, or they are be floating points, which are called floats. So it is either it is integer or it is a float. It is not, it doesn't even end there. That is, for example, given. So when we talk about integer, what are we talking about? We say integer are positive or negative whole number without decimal points. So anytime you are referring to number, you say 1, you say 2, you say -1, -2, all of them are integer, as long as there's no continuation of decimal after a whole number. Now you talk about floating point or float is real number now, and this real number have decimal points. So you can see 4.75, for instance. You can see -5.5. You can see 11.0. As long as there's a point and something follows, then we are referring to what? Float. Have that at the back of your mind. Then Boolean value. Boolean value is those values that have just two values, possibilities. It can be 1 or it can be 0, and these are not assigned by strength, they are arbitrarily assigned. But if it is yes, then it will not be no, and if it is no, then it cannot be yes. So we have yes or no, we have true or false, we have 1 or 0. Then we'll talk about what we're talking about: Boolean value. So you say a true or false corresponding to machine logic of understanding, as we have said it, that it can be in ones and it can be in zeros, or an off, right or wrong, true or false. All of them can be categorized under Boolean. They can be categorized under Boolean. Then remember also, we talk about strings. Strings are non-numeric values. These are alphabetic or write-ups. So string are text value. Anything that is in text that is not numeric is a string of sequence of character. So whenever we are writing a string, it has some basic rule so that your system, your environment can be able to be friendly and accept it. You can see George. George is written, but it has something in the beginning, an apostrophe. It can be single or it can be double quote. It does not matter, it's still going to give you the same output. So you can try it out and type George, and it will give you the answer as George. And when you say print, like your input, now you have already put up your input and you ask the system to print your George, it will give you the George the way you're supposed to see. You may not use George. We may come to our system and we can print, for instance, we can say Victor as a name, and you run it in the system. You see, to bring out Victor, that means it has taken it and is giving you out the Victor. You can also put your double quote and write Victor again, and you run it. Of course, it will give you Victor. So now, when you will now ask the system to print, and when you are writing print, let it be in small letter. You want to print, and just observe what I'm doing. There is no space between the print and the parenthesis which you want to print. Now what do you want to print? You want to print Victor. And also be careful that your spelling is always the same. You want to print Victor and you run to print it, it will give you Victor, but this time it's not giving you with any apostrophe. So it's very, very important you note that. Very, very important. So type single or double quotation mark around the name George. Python display George if you don't use the print command. Should you use print, the output will be shown with no quote. So it's the same thing that I just said. I am fine, among others. Press enter. What you wrote, it will give you. Just observe every detail. Press, it has a small quotation mark, then you now say press, then you have double quotation mark, enter, and it is printed in the way it was inquired. So we are looking at how to work with variable. You can see another type. You can print red. You now put this operator and car. When you run the output, it will give you red car. You can also get the same result by printing the red, then you put a comma and you print the car. It will still give you the same output. Let's try that out and see. We come here, we say print, you open, now you put in your red, then your plus, then your car. You say print red car, and you go and run the run. It will give you red car, but it was together. What happened? Something must have happened. Okay, let me come. Let me print the next one. Print red car and run. What happens here? This is an operator. Okay, let's okay. This ought to have given us this. I will still have to look and know why there is an alteration there. Okay, I've seen I don't know if you have seen what I've just saw. All these things are very, very important in what we're doing. Let me show you. Go back to this. You see this red here. This red will have apostrophe enveloping it. Just come to this place, just touch a clip, shift it a bit and run it again. It will give you the space you are looking for. So that was what just happened. So all this one are telling you that in Python every detail is important. Your spacing is also important. Your write-up is important. Even your capitalization of work is also important. So it needs you to be calm when you are in Python environment so that you can have results. If not, it can keep you for months at one space. But if you know what you are doing, especially when we start coding, you see errors will be coming up. You must always know the source of the error and now start to correct them. So we are still moving at a very slow speed so that we can be able to comprehend. So we have just printed the red and the comma and the car just to show you how you can join using these are texts. How you can able to bring the text together and make meaning out of it. Now, basic Python syntax. Syntax are how words are arranged. How words are arranged. The spacing will give whether we have what do you call it, indentation in the front, whether we leave us space, are all part of Python syntax that you must learn. So, but they are basic ones. There are up to 25 syntaxes that you need to know in Python, which are very, very important, but you know them gradually so that you don't overstretch yourself in the beginning and it become problematic as you go on. So we have, first of all, we have the arithmetic operators. These are the operators we can use for mathematical manipulation or mathematical calculation. You can see 1 plus 1. When you type it in your system, it will give you 3. It is performing mathematical calculation. Let's see. So now we want to do syntax. So you come and write syntax. So if you have written syntax like this and you go and run it, it will throw up error because this syntax, the computer is seeing it as a code that it needs to run. So what do you do having this? You come here. Since your cursor is showing green, is here showing that this is where you are working, you come to this place. Either you go to markdown or you can go to heading. When you go to heading, you see it's showing you double hash. That means it's on level 2, and you want it to be like that, fine. So you can now do what? Click OK. It will be like this. Now if for instance you want to reduce the size of this, you can click on more hash. As you're clicking, the size will be reducing, but let me leave it at C. It has come down because I've not marked it. It is on markdown. I go again and put under heading and I say OK. Now you want now it to be as a form of writing. You come to run and click on run. See, it has come as a heading for you. So the next thing is arithmetic operator. You write arithmetic operators. You can also come to here, since it's not a code, you can treat it as a markdown and you run it. See how you can use markdown. So if you are running, the system will not see it as a code. Now you said 1 plus 2. You have said it. Now what is the answer? You go to the system and you run it, and it will give you an answer that 1 plus 1 is 1 plus 2 is 3. You see how easy and simple it is. This is what we call addition syntax. So we now have all the operators here. Plus is for addition, minus is for subtraction. You see your slash that is going from right to left is called division. So if you want to divide 16 by 3 when using Python, so this one is talking about Python 2 or Python 3, we continue to have improvement on our work. So you look at return remainder. So work want us to return remainder. Then multiplication sign is your asterisk in your laptop is what goes for multiplication and not your X. Then if you want to use power calculation, double of the asterisk though. So these are important, you know them. and you use them to get your result. Okay, this is double equality sign. When you have double equality sign, what does it mean? It is quite different from single equality sign. When we put the single equality sign, we are simply saying that this answer, this y, for instance, is equal to the value on the other side of the equality sign. That is what we are saying. And when we use just equality, just one sign. Now when we are using double, it's not the same as using single. When we are using double, it's talking about this is the same thing as, it's not equal to. So this is just the same thing as the other. So first of all, look at the manipulation here. Say y is equal to 5 raised to power 3. I want to have said that y is whatever that value is. When you raise 5 to power 3 is the value that y is carrying. So just like what we have done before, now you now impute y, it will give you the value of y. That unknown value of y will be given. So when we have gotten that, we can say that y is now the same thing as 25. We are now asking the system and it will throw up true, because you know boolean is talking about true or non-true. And remember, most of our work in Python is working on logic, so it must make logical sense and the computer will throw up logical answer to you. So if you now say y is the same thing as 126, the system will tell you no, it's not correct, it's false. So let's try out this, because we have to start simple before we begin to crack our brain. So we'll come here and we'll say that y is equal to 5 raised to power 3. I will run it. The system has taken it. Now we'll now say y. And now we'll want to know what y is. See, y is 125 based on what we have just done. And we agree with it. Now if we now say that y is the same thing as 125, you are putting it as an input and you ask the computer will tell you it's true. That means it's logically correct that y and 125 are the same. Makes a lot of sense. But now you will now decide to see if what we are doing, the computer is alive or the computer is sleeping. You now say y is the same thing as 126, and you now throw it to the computer. Computer will tell you, say no, it's false, it's not correct, doesn't make logical sense. So you see how Python environment is working. Very, very interesting, very, very exciting, very, very interesting, and very, very exciting. So the comment, you also have to learn how to add comment when you are working with Python. If you know how to add comments. So when adding comment, it's very simple. Comment means you want to write something that will help you to remember your line of code, so that when you visit the same code after some time, after some months, after some years, you can remember exactly why that code was made, and whatever that is important for one that is running that code, you also have it at the back of his mind. So now you can see what is here. This is just a comment and not a code. You written up and you now say print 7 and 2 with comma. You see that is printed. You can do comment 1, comment 2, and you say print. So when you are doing this comment, it will not enter into your coding line. That is what it is trying to explain. So when we go to the our notebook, and now I will write adding comments to our work. Of course, you know how to do it. You can either put it as a title, which is as a title. You come to the code, maybe put it as heading, and you say okay, and you run it. It has given you adding comment to our work. Then you will not say like what we have done here. You say, while writing comment, what you do is you put a hashtag. Once you put hashtag, you may write please take note. So whatever is on the hashtag will not be run as a code. Then you now come down and you may now say print. You want computer to print for you, you print 12, and you also print, give a space. You can leave it like that, it will still give you the space, and print 7, and you come and run it. You see it gives you the 12 and it gives you the 7. So it did not print the please take note. So you see, by this we have been able to comment it out. So just imagine putting other important information that is vital to you along your code, and it is not affected and your code runs. That is the idea in using comments. That is the idea we have when we use comments. So when we go there, say comment are sentences that are not executed by the computer. It doesn't read them as instruction. So the trick is to put a high signal at the beginning of each line, and you like to insert a comment. So if you like to leave a comment on 2 lines, don't forget to place high signal or hash sign at the beginning of each line. So once that hash line is there, the computer will always interpret it. Computer will always interpret it. We have another one like line continuation. You are writing something and you want to continue below. You can also do that. You can do indexing of your element. So in the index, you're going to extract the letter D. You have Friday written, and you want to extract a letter D. If you can do that by using square bracket, and within there you should specify position. So this is what we are going to do when we come to doing proper what we call indexing. So in index, you look for index position, which is always important. And in Python, the counting starts from 0. For instance, if you have let me go to the notebook. Indexing. Run it as markdown, and you have number. For instance, you can have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, as the case may be. So in Python, when you have something like this and you want to index, you always start from the left. You can also start from the right, but it has a rule. So you start from the left and you count to the right. So when they say index number 3, for instance, normal mathematical counting will say 1, 2, 3. and you stop here and you are okay. But for Python, the first number is assigned index number 0, followed by index number 1, index number 2, index number 3, index number 4, and index number 5. Meaning that when you say index number 3, we want to extract it, what we are going to extract is number 4 here, because this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. I hope that makes sense. And also, you can also work from negative. Now, if you are working from negative, it doesn't start from 0, it starts from -1, -2. So this last number becomes -1 index, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So when you are counting from right to left, you start from the highest degree of negative, which is -1, and you continue to descend leftward. And if you are counting from the right to the left, from the left to the right, sorry, you start from index 0 and you move until you get to the last. That means you take from the least until you get to the highest degree. So I hope that makes sense. So I may remove this. I don't want to run it, so I can remove it. So indexing, and we'll go back to the note. So it's possible to extract the letter D. Is it possible to extract the letter D? And the answer is yes. If yes, you can do that by using square bracket. And within there, you should specify the position of the letter you would like to extract. Okay. So make sure you don't mistake bracket for parentheses or braces. That's another important thing you should know in Python. All of them have different rules. When you see this is a parenthesis, this is bracket, this is braces. They are not the same in Python. They have specific functions they do. So when you misplace them, of course, expect that your answer may not be correct. When you misplace them, your answer may possibly not be correct. That is what it's saying in essence. The answer may not be correct when you misplace them. So you have to be very, very watchful, and understanding is the key. Understanding is the key. So like this word Friday, you can see it here, Friday. Now you are asked to remove index. You want to remove D, or you are asked to remove index 3. Now let us do it in practice. So you have Friday. Let's say Friday. I can use small letter. Friday. I remember what I said. When you want to write a text, always do what? Always put the apostrophe, either one or single. And when you do it, you see that the color changes to tell you that it is embedded in a bracket. So this is what you have, but you want to extract, which is called indexing. So you put up the bracket. What do you want to extract? You want to extract index number 3. This is what the code you are coding now. You want this algorithm to run and give you what is index number 3. Remember I said the first letter is 0, Friday, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, even though we have 6 letters. So we're expecting that D should be extracted because that is index number 3. So when you run it, see that D comes out. You can also come again on the same Friday and Friday, and what do you want to extract now? You want to extract index number 5, and you run it again. What did he extract for you? He extracted y. So y is index number 5. And now you can also do, as I told you, negative and positive. You can still go on Friday, or we can say yes, let's use Friday. Now you want to extract index number -2. Remember I told you that minus starts from the first y is -1, a is -2 until you get to the last. So when you do this and you run, you see it gives you a is index number -2 when you are moving from right to left. I hope it is clear. Very, very simple. Okay, so let's continue. So you can see how it was done. The note will be, I will send the note to you so you can also, I don't want you to just have note without understanding what the note is talking about. So structure your code with indentation. So the way you apply indentation in practice is important, as it will be the only way to communicate your idea to machine properly. So machine understands things in specifics. So indentation is very, very important. So when you use define function, for instance, and you ident, it does, the next line of question or action does not start from the same line of the first. It will give a space because you have idented, showing that this one is embedded into the first line of action. So we will come more to this later so that we don't bore you. We take it easy gradually. Now we will soon be rounding up on our today class, but we cannot do that without looking at the comparison of operators. I told you operators are important aspects of Python. We have talked about variables, we have talked about data type, float, numerics, we have talked about boolean, we have also talked about some little bit of indexing. We are still going to go into more nitties that is expected in order to know more of Python. So for operators, so it is what we use to perform mathematical and logical functions in Python. That are operators. They are important to us, very, very important. Now you can see this equality sign is 2. This is known as double equal sign. Is verified the left right side of an equality are equal. So when we say that, like in mathematics, say a is equal to x or a is equal to 5, that is mathematics, is direct. But in Python, when you say a with one single equal to, may mean many things. It is only when we say a with double equal to 5 that we're saying that a and 5 are the same. So it verifies that left and right sign of an equality are equal. Now when you see this exclamation mark before an equality sign, it is telling that it's not equal. They are not equal. That left and right side of an equality are not what? They are not equal. Then the greater sign and less sign are the same. Then this is greater or equal, or this is less or equal. So I think it's straightforward. We'll also have to put it into work as time goes on. Then we also look at logical operators. These are operators that works with logic, common sense. So the word not, and or are basically operators we use in Python. They are used for comparison of statements, and they always return valued value, Boolean value, like when we use that y is equal to 5 raised to power 3, and I will say what is the value of y, and you say the value of y is 125. Then we'll now say that y is equal to 125, and the system tells us that is true. We again went ahead to say, okay, y is equal to 126, and the system tells us that is false. Now y cannot be equal to 126. So what it was returning was true or false value, and these true and false values are simply Boolean values. Boolean values. So now operators, we now have not. So when you say not, list the opposite of a given statement. Example, not true leads to false. When something is not true, automatically it is false. Then when you say and, you mean two conditions must be set, must be correct. Check whether the two statements around it are true. So if left and right are not true, then and operator does not work. So the two conditions must be true for and to work. He must be tall and handsome. This is two conditions. So if the person is either tall but not handsome, or the person is handsome but not tall, and operator condition will not hold. It will only hold when the person is what? Both tall and at the same time handsome. So in the absence of that, what will hold is or operator. So or is talking about if the person is handsome, it's okay, he can hold, or if the person is tall, he can also hold. So it gives room for manipulation. So you check whether at least one of the two statements true, one of the two is true. Example, false or true will lead to true. But for the and, true and false will always lead to what? False. Simple. So these are very simple things that you need to internalize, because they are key in Python operation. They are very, very key. So you must respect the order of importance of these three operators. It is not comes first, then we have and finally or. So even when we have these three in a statement, just like a BODMAS, you must respect not first before you look at and finally considers or. I hope it makes important sense. No, we are still going on. A lot of things are going to be exposed as we continue. So this is identity operator, and I will be stopping here today, and then we'll continue in our next class. There are a lot of them before we go to other aspects of Python that is very, very key to our study. We are still looking at the theoretical perspective of our work. Thank you very much. Do have a lovely day, and God bless. Bye bye.